The suitcase sat by the door like an accusation I wasn't ready to make. She moved around it with practiced efficiency, checking her phone, adjusting her blazer, wearing that particular smile she reserved for moments when she needed me to believe her. "It's just 3 days," she said, kissing our daughter's forehead. "Mommy will be back before you know it." Our son clung to her leg, his small fingers wrinkling her pressed slacks. "Why can't Daddy go on business trips?" She laughed, but it sounded hollow in our entryway. "Because Daddy's job is here, sweetheart. Mine takes me places sometimes." I stood in the kitchen doorway, coffee growing cold in my hands, watching this scene I'd watched a dozen times before. But this time felt different. This time, the air tasted like copper and lies. "Sarah," I said quietly. She looked up, and for just a moment, I saw fear flicker across her face. "Have a safe trip." The relief that washed over her should have been my first real clue. Or maybe it was the 10th, and I'd just been too comfortable, too trusting, too stupidly devoted to notice the others. She left in a cloud of perfume and promises, and I stood at the window watching her car disappear down our tree-lined street. Our daughter tugged at my sleeve. "Daddy, why do you look sad?" I knelt down, pulling both kids close. "I'm not sad, baby. Just thinking." But I was sad. I'd been sad for months, watching my wife drift away like a boat with a cut anchor line. The late-night phone calls she took in the garage. The new lingerie that never made an appearance in our bedroom. The way she flinched when I touched her unexpectedly, as if her body had forgotten it belonged to our shared life. That evening, after tucking the kids into bed, I sat in my home office staring at the credit card statement I'd been avoiding. The charges painted a story I didn't want to read. Restaurants we'd never visited together. A hotel downtown, not across the country where her conference was supposed to be. Florist purchases on random Tuesdays. My phone buzzed. A text from my brother. "Did you find it?" I'd asked him to do something I never thought I'd need to do, hire someone to follow my wife. The answer came in a series of photos that made my stomach turn. Sarah, my Sarah, walking into the Riverside Hotel downtown. Not alone. His hand on her lower back, that intimate gesture that belongs only to lovers. Her laughing, her face tilted up toward his in a way she hadn't looked at me in over a year. I forwarded the email with the hotel information to myself and deleted the conversation. Then I sat in the dark, listening to the house settle around me, feeling like a stranger in my own life. The worst part wasn't the betrayal, not really. The worst part was that I understood it. We'd been drifting, both of us, caught in the mundane currents of mortgage payments and parent-teacher conferences. We'd stopped being lovers and became managers of a shared household. But I'd been trying. God knows I'd been trying. Date nights she always found excuses to postpone, compliments that bounced off her like light off dark water, attempts at intimacy met with exhaustion or headaches or just the cold barrier of her turned back. She'd stopped trying. She'd found something else instead. I thought about calling her, confronting her, demanding truth. But what would that accomplish? She'd lie. She'd been lying for months. Probably. She'd gotten good at it. No, I needed her to face the truth in a way she couldn't spin or explain away. I needed her to see the real cost of her choices reflected in the faces of the two people she claimed to love most. I pulled up my calendar and began making arrangements. 3 days, she'd said. On day 3, we'd take a little family trip of our own. The kids would love the surprise. The kids were electric with excitement as I loaded their overnight bags into the car. I'd told them we were going on an adventure to surprise Mommy, and their joy was a knife twisting in my chest with every smile, every eager question. "Will Mommy be happy to see us?" my daughter asked, clutching her stuffed rabbit. "I think Mommy will feel a lot of things," I said, which was probably the most honest thing I'd said in 48 hours. The drive downtown took 90 minutes. 90 minutes of I Spy and sing-alongs and my son's running commentary on every truck we passed. 90 minutes to second-guess everything, to wonder if I was making a terrible mistake, to imagine turning the car around and choosing comfortable ignorance over devastating truth. But then I'd remember the phone call I'd overheard 2 nights ago, her voice soft and intimate in the darkness of our garage, saying things she used to say to me. "I miss you too. Just one more day." "I know, baby," I know. Baby. She called him baby. My brother had offered to come with me, moral support for what was about to unfold. I'd declined. This was intimate violence, family business, and it needed to stay that way. Besides, I needed to be alone with my thoughts, my rage, my grief. The kids' chatter kept me from drowning in it. We stopped for lunch at a diner halfway there. My daughter ordered pancakes even though it was 2 in the afternoon, and I let her because what did rules matter anymore? My son wanted to know if Mommy's hotel had a pool. Maybe, I said. We'll see. I watched them eat, memorizing their innocence. Everything was about to change for them. After today, they'd understand that the world wasn't safe, that people lied, that love could be conditional and homes could break. I was about to shatter their childhood into before and after. Was I doing the right thing? Should I shield them, handle this privately, preserve their image of their mother? But then I thought about the alternative, lying to them, teaching them that deception was acceptable, that betrayal could be swept under the rug for the sake of appearances. I thought about all the broken families I knew where kids grew up watching parents play pretend, learning that love meant tolerating disrespect. No. They deserved truth. Even if it hurt. Especially if it hurt. The Riverside Hotel was nicer than I expected. Marble floors, Art Deco lighting, a lobby that smelled of vanilla and money. The kind of place you take someone you want to impress. I wondered if he'd paid or if she'd charged it to our joint account. I hadn't checked. The desk clerk smiled at my kids. Welcome. Are you checking in? Actually, I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart, my wife is already here. Could you tell me her room number? The clerk's smile flickered. I'm sorry, sir. We can't give out guest information. But I can call her room if you'd like. That won't be necessary. I pulled out my phone, showing her the credit card statement with Sarah's name and the hotel charge. I'm her husband. I have identification. It took 3 managers and 15 minutes of polite insistence before they agreed to give me a key card. Hotel policy, they kept saying. Privacy concerns. I kept my voice calm and showed my ID and our joint credit card, and eventually, they relented. Room 412. 4th floor, East Wing. View of the river. In the elevator, my son counted the floors out loud. My daughter asked again if this was really a surprise for Mommy. Yes, I said. It's definitely going to be a surprise. The hallway was quiet, carpeted in deep burgundy that swallowed our footsteps. I found the door and stopped, staring at the brass numbers. Behind this door, my marriage was either ending or about to be tested beyond anything I'd imagined. I handed my daughter the key card. You want to do the honors, sweetie? She giggled, delighted, and reached for the card. My son bounced on his toes. Wait, I said, kneeling down to their level one more time. Remember, Mommy might be resting. We need to be very quiet at first, okay? They nodded solemnly, fingers pressed to their lips. I stood, my heart hammering against my ribs. This was it. The moment everything changed. Okay, I whispered. Go ahead. The lock clicked green and the door swung inward, and for a moment, everything happened in slow motion and all at once. The room was dim, curtains drawn against the afternoon sun. The bed was unmade, sheets twisted. And there she was, my wife, Sarah, wearing a hotel robe, her hair loose around her shoulders, frozen mid-laugh at something the man sitting on the edge of the bed had said. The man. He was younger than me, maybe 35, wearing slacks and an undershirt. His dress shirt hung over the back of a chair. Room service trays cluttered the desk. An open bottle of wine. The intimate debris of a life I wasn't part of. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Sarah's face cycled through confusion, recognition, horror. Her mouth opened but no sound came out. Then our daughter's voice, bright and innocent. Mommy. Surprise. Sarah stumbled backward, her hand clutching the lapels of her robe. Oh my God. Oh my God, no. The man stood quickly, and to his credit, he looked genuinely stricken. Not defiant, not angry, just sick with the realization of what this moment meant. My son ran forward, arms outstretched, not understanding the weight in the room. Sarah caught him automatically, pulled him against her, but her eyes never left mine over his small shoulder. In her face, I saw everything. Guilt, shame, fear, but also something else, a kind of wild desperation, like an animal caught in headlights, calculating whether to freeze or flee. "Kids," I said quietly, "why don't you go check out the bathroom? See if it has one of those big fancy tubs." My daughter hesitated, sensing the strange tension. But my son, oblivious, grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the bathroom. "Come on. Let's look." The moment they disappeared, Sarah's knees seemed to give out. She sank onto the bed, her face crumpling. "Please. Please, I can explain." "Can you?" My voice sounded strange to my own ears, too calm. I looked at the man. "You should leave." He reached for his shirt, fumbling with the buttons. Sarah grabbed his hand. "David, wait." David. So that was his name. I filed it away with all the other details I'd been collecting, evidence for a trial I never wanted to have. "No," I said. "He should definitely leave. Now." David pulled his hand free gently. He looked at Sarah with something that might have been genuine affection, which somehow made it worse. "I'll call you," he murmured. "You won't," I said. "You'll delete her number and you'll forget this happened. Or I'll make sure your wife knows all about it." His face went pale. Of course he was married too. Why did I even expect anything different? He left, shoes in hand, closing the door softly behind him like he was trying not to wake someone. The sounds from the bathroom, water running, kids' voices, seemed to come from another universe. In this universe, there was only Sarah and me and the smoking ruins of 13 years together. She stood, came toward me with her hands outstretched. "I never meant for this to happen. I never meant." "Don't." I stepped back. "Don't you dare tell me you didn't mean it. You meant it enough to do it. Multiple times, from what I can tell. It's not what you think." I laughed, sharp and bitter. "It's not what I think? Sarah, I think my wife has been sleeping with another man while lying to me and our children. Tell me which part I'm getting wrong." She wrapped her arms around herself. "I've been so lost. So lonely. You don't even see me anymore. So you found someone who would? Is that the logic here?" My voice was rising and I fought to control it. The kids were just in the other room. "I've been right here, Sarah. Every day, every night. Working, coming home, helping with homework, doing bedtime stories. Where was I supposed to see you when you were never actually present? You're always at work or with the kids. When was the last time you really looked at me? Asked me how I was feeling? Wanted me, not just as a mother or a housekeeper, but as a woman?" The accusation hung between us, and God help me, there was truth in it. We'd both been failing each other, but only one of us had dealt with it by betraying everything we'd promised. "So this is my fault?" I asked quietly. No, that's not what I'm saying." She was crying now, mascara tracking down her cheeks. "I'm saying I was drowning and I didn't know how to tell you. And then David was there and he listened and it just happened." "It just happened," I repeated. "Multiple hotel visits just happened. Secret phone calls just happened. Lying to our children about where you were just happened." She flinched with each accusation. "I want to fix this. Please. Give me a chance to fix this." The bathroom door opened and our daughter emerged, her face troubled. She'd heard raised voices, even if not the words. "Daddy? Why is Mommy crying?" I looked at Sarah, at the woman I'd loved since college, at the mother of my children, at this stranger wearing her face. She was begging me with her eyes to protect her, to shield her from the consequences of her choices. I knelt down and pulled my daughter close, then called for my son. He came running out, his shirt wet from playing in the sink. I gathered them both in front of me, these two perfect pieces of a life that was shattering. "Kids," I said gently, "Mommy and Daddy need to talk to you about something important." Sarah made a small sound of protest, but I ignored her. I'd made my decision in the hallway. I'd made it when I brought them here. The kids deserved truth, not the lie of pretending everything was fine. Sometimes, I began, choosing words carefully, grown-ups make mistakes. Big mistakes that hurt the people they love. My daughter's eyes widened. She was 8, old enough to sense the weight of what was coming. My son, only 5, looked confused but concerned. Mommy made a mistake, I continued. She has a friend, a man friend, that she's been spending time with in a way that's only okay for married people to do with each other. Do you understand? Like how you and Mommy kiss? My daughter asked. Yes, sweetheart. Like that. Her face crumpled as understanding dawned. But Mommy's married to you. That's right. And that's why this is such a big mistake. Sarah was sobbing now, her whole body shaking. Please, don't do this. They are too young. They're not too young to know when they're being lied to, I said, my voice hard. They're not too young to learn that actions have consequences. I turned back to the kids. My son had started crying too, not fully understanding but feeding off the emotional chaos around him. This doesn't mean Mommy doesn't love you, I said, pulling them both against me. She loves you very much. But Mommy and Daddy's marriage is broken right now. And we're going to have to figure out how to fix it, or if we can fix it. Are you getting divorced? My daughter's voice was so small. The word hung in the air like smoke. Sarah's crying intensified. I don't know yet, I said honestly. But here's what I do know. No matter what happens between Mommy and me, we both love you. You will always have both of us. We'll always be your parents. This isn't your fault, and you didn't do anything wrong. My son buried his face in my chest. I want to go home. Okay, buddy. We'll go home. Sarah moved toward us suddenly, desperately. Please, let me come with you. Let me come home. I'll end it. I'll never see him again. Please, I'm begging you. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw someone I both knew completely and didn't recognize at all. This was the woman who'd held my hand during our daughter's birth, who'd cried with joy when our son took his first steps, who'd built a life with me brick by brick. This was also the woman who'd looked me in the eye this morning and lied, who'd chosen another man's comfort over our family's trust, who'd been willing to let me live in ignorance while she maintained her double life. You can come home, I said finally, and watched hope flare in her eyes. You can come home to get your things. You can stay involved in the kids' lives. But us. We're done. No. She reached for me, but I stepped back. No, please. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. You can't just throw away 13 years. I'm not throwing away 13 years. You already did that. The kids were watching this exchange with wide, frightened eyes. I needed to get them out of here, away from this scene that would probably haunt them for years. We're leaving, I said. Come by the house tomorrow when the kids are at school. Pack what you need. Find somewhere else to stay. Your sisters, a hotel, I don't care. But you're not staying in our home right now. You can't keep my children from me. I'm not keeping them from you. I'm keeping them from watching their mother disrespect their father under our own roof. I picked up my son, took my daughter's hand. We'll set up a schedule. You can see them regularly. But on my terms, Sarah. Not yours. You lost the right to make demands when you stopped respecting our marriage. She followed us to the door, still pleading. I love you. I know I hurt you, but I love you. We can go to counseling. We can work through this. I paused at the threshold, looked back at her one last time. She was a mess, makeup ruined, robe clutched around her, hair wild. She looked broken. Part of me wanted to comfort her, to make it better, to fix things like I'd always fix things. But I couldn't fix this. This wasn't a leaky faucet or a bad grade or a scraped knee. This was betrayal, fundamental and complete. And it wasn't my job to make her feel better about what she'd done. The person you're describing, the one who loves me, wouldn't have done this, I said quietly. Maybe she existed once. But she's not who you are right now. And I can't build a life with someone who's willing to destroy everything when things get hard. Things can't just be over. We have children. We have a history. We do have children. That's why we'll be in each other's lives forever. But we'll be co-parents, Sarah. Not partners. Not spouses. You made your choice. Now live with it. I walked out, kids in tow, leaving her standing in the doorway of that hotel room. Behind me, I heard her slide down the wall, her sobs echoing down the hallway. My daughter squeezed my hand. Daddy, is Mommy going to be okay? Eventually, I said. She's going to be very sad for a while. But she'll be okay. Are you going to be okay? I looked down at her serious little face, at my son's tear-streaked cheeks. Yeah, baby. We're all going to be okay. It might take time, but we'll be okay. 6 months later, I stood in our kitchen, my kitchen now, making pancakes on a Saturday morning. The kids were still asleep, the house quiet except for the sizzle of batter on the griddle and the morning birds outside. The divorce had been finalized 3 weeks ago. Sarah had moved into an apartment downtown, close enough to see the kids regularly but far enough that we weren't tripping over each other. We had a schedule, alternating weeks, shared holidays, coordinated school events. It was civil, functional, and absolutely nothing like what I'd imagined my life would be. She'd begged for reconciliation for months. Late-night texts, tearful conversations during kid exchanges, letters left on my windshield. She'd ended things with David immediately, or so she claimed. She'd started therapy. She'd done everything the relationship books recommend. But I couldn't do it. Every time I looked at her, I saw that hotel room. I saw the lies, the secret phone calls, the months of deception. I saw someone who'd looked at our life together and decided it wasn't enough, then chosen to destroy it rather than fight for it. More than that, I saw what reconciliation would teach our kids. That betrayal could be forgiven without consequences. That love meant accepting fundamental disrespect. That you could break promises and hurt people and everything would eventually return to normal if you just said sorry enough times. I wouldn't teach them that. I couldn't. The therapy helped. Both individual sessions and the co-parenting counseling Sarah and I attended together. We learned to communicate about the kids without devolving into arguments about the past. We learned to be in the same room without hostility. We learned to be divorced partners in parenting, if not in life. Sarah had her struggles. The kids told me about the nights she cried, about how she kept apologizing to them, about how her apartment felt lonely. Part of me ached for her, the part that had loved her for so long. But I'd learned to separate empathy from responsibility. I could hope she healed without being the one required to heal her. The kids were doing better than I'd feared. They had rough patches, nightmares, clinginess, questions about why families break apart. We'd gotten them into therapy too. But children are resilient, and they adapted to the new normal. My daughter had become fiercely protective of truth. She called out even small lies, demanded honesty from everyone. I worried about that sometimes, about whether witnessing her mother's betrayal had made her too cynical too young. My son asked questions constantly. When you love someone, you're not supposed to hurt them, right, Daddy? If Mommy loved us, why did she make us sad? Can people break promises and still be good? I answered as honestly as I could. Yes, people can be good and still make terrible mistakes. Yes, love should mean not hurting people, but humans are complicated. No, breaking promises isn't okay, but it doesn't mean someone is unlovable, just that trust has to be rebuilt. I was dating again, nothing serious, just coffee here and there, remembering what it felt like to talk to someone who chose to be there. It felt strange and new, like learning to walk after a long illness. Sarah heard about it through the kids and showed up at my door one evening, mascara already running. You're seeing someone. That's not your business anymore. But there's still time to fix this. I looked at her standing on the porch of what used to be our shared home. She looked thinner, older, worn down by consequences. I felt nothing but a distant sadness for what we'd lost. Sarah, it's been 6 months. When are you going to accept that we're not getting back together? How can you just stop loving me? I haven't stopped loving the person you were. But you're not that person anymore. And even if you could become her again, too much has broken. I can't spend the rest of my life wondering when you'll be lonely enough to make another mistake. She flinched. That's not fair. None of this is fair. Not what you did, not what the kids went through, not the life I thought I was building that turned out to be built on lies. But it's reality. And we both have to live in it. So that's it. 13 years just, done. The 13 years aren't done. They happened. We have 2 beautiful kids and memories that matter. But the marriage is done. You ended it when you walked into that hotel room with him. I just had the courage to acknowledge it. She left crying, and I closed the door feeling lighter than I had in months. Now, standing in my kitchen making pancakes, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Not happiness exactly, that was still coming and going in waves. But peace with my decision. Peace with the truth I'd chosen over comfortable lies. The kids came thundering down the stairs, still in pajamas. Pancakes, my son yelled. My daughter hugged my waist. Thanks, Dad. For what? For always being here. I kissed the top of her head. Always, baby. That's a promise I'll never break. After breakfast, we'd go to the park. Tomorrow, they'd go to their moms. Next week, we'd navigate another co-parenting challenge. But right now, in this moment, we were okay. Sarah texted me that evening, "Thank you for not giving up on them, even though you gave up on us." I stared at the message for a long time before responding, "I didn't give up on us. I chose them. I chose truth. I chose self-respect. You're the one who gave up, you just did it months before I found out." She didn't respond, and I didn't expect her to. Some conversations don't have endings, just pauses. I looked in on the kids before bed. They were already asleep, tangled in blankets, safe and loved. They'd carry scars from this, we all would. But they'd also learn something valuable, that people could survive betrayal, that choosing yourself wasn't selfish, that truth was worth protecting even when it hurt. My daughter's therapy homework was taped to her wall. What does love mean to you? She'd written, love means telling the truth even when it's hard. Love means keeping promises. Love means my dad. I stood there reading it, tears streaming down my face in the darkness. Not tears of sadness but of purpose. This is why I'd done it. This is why I'd chosen the hard path over the easy lie. In the morning, we'd wake up and do it all again. Building a new normal, one honest day at a time. Sarah would continue trying to find her way back to the person she'd been before she lost herself. The kids would grow up knowing that love without respect wasn't love at all. And I would keep showing up, keep choosing truth, keep teaching them that some things, dignity, honesty, self-worth, were worth more than holding together a marriage that had already fallen apart. The house settled around me, creaking with familiarity. This was home now. Not the one I'd planned, but the one I'd chosen when choosing became necessary. And that would have to be enough.